Welcome to Rooted and Routed, the podcast about expat life. I'm your host, Sabir Batan Bithul, and I'm back with another story, another inspiring story, another road. And she's a friend of mine. She's a special friend of mine. She's from France, a French expat who have been an expat before as well. She's a passionate artist at heart. She's a philanthropist at heart. She has been through expat journey, different stages. Today, we are here to uncover, connect, and learn from her about her journey. Her name is Alisée Mignon. Hi, Alisée.
So happy to be here. So honored to be there.
Finally,
Yeah,
finally, we're doing this.
it's happening.
Yes. Let's start with your background and your journey so far. I know you have been an expat before.
Uh, Not really good with dates, but we started. I left with my husband for the US maybe 11 years ago. Uh, 1 year old, I was pregnant with my second child. So that's how we started. We stayed 5 years in Houston, the US, in Texas. And from there, we moved to India, where I met you.
And what was your background before you actually started expat?
Before that, I was quite young actually. I was just fresh out of college. I studied fashion in Paris. As I was working my first job, I was pregnant already. So I quit working really fast to raise my first child. And actually, that year when she was born, we were supposed to be in the US already, but it took the company a while to send us there, to do paperwork and work with the consulate and the embassies and do the. I'm not even sure what we needed to go there, but so it took 9 months for us waiting in Paris to leave.
Did you say 9 months for your paperwork and for visa to go to?
I'm not even sure. Between they had to figure out what kind of job my husband was gonna do.
Okay.
That took a while, and then paperwork took forever. We need to
9 months.
yeah, you know, it's they say you want to go, we say yes, but then you don't know how long it's gonna take, and then sometimes it's maybe a month, sometimes it's a lot more.
That's how I think most of us feel, right?
Yeah,
With the expat life, it's so uncertain.
yeah,
You cannot plan much sometimes, and life as well has its own plans besides the company's
yeah.
plans.
You're in for an adventure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Flexible, and whatever comes your way, you have to go with it. Otherwise, it's very frustrating.
It is. It is. I understand. But with the move, did you actually had cultural shocks? I think you moved out of France
Yeah.
to live in the US for the first time, right?
Oh yeah, for me it was really hard, and I hadn't envisioned how hard because I thought I was good at speaking English, and I was really bad. I arrived in Texas, and I couldn't have a conversation with anyone. I couldn't ask for my way. I didn't understand the television or the radio. And in France, I had all my support system. I had my family, I had my friends, and then you get into a new city. I had a 1 year old. I was pregnant. I didn't speak English. And I found myself in a suburb of Houston. Uh, and I was coming from a Parisian life.
Okay.
Um,
Which is what I find for me as personally. I don't know. We probably look at the country in a very different way as tourist, right? But what
Yeah.
is a Parisian life? I mean, is it the same as in Italy? That's
in my head, I was this school girl who had a lot of friends, knew a lot about fashion. We were going for cultural events. There was a lot happening in Paris. Even though I had a baby, I led a busy life in the movies, the theater, whatever came our way, we would just jump on it. But the suburb of Houston, as French, you are used to like how you dress well, you go out, you go for coffee, whatever. But the way of life is very casual in a way. Like people pay attention, and all of a sudden, I was in the suburb of Houston, and people were wearing sailor shoes, micro that was for women, micro short from the 80s, and like huge T-shirt with ads on it, and maybe a cap. And the man was like, it was the same thing with cargo shorts. Uh, and I was, wow, like who am I going to be here? Because this is so different from what I know. I come from the city where everything is ready, everything is convenient. Here I have to drive. I was a very bad driver. I was a bit scared to go behind the wheels. So all of a sudden, my life was completely different, and I couldn't communicate with anyone. That was the worst of it. And I was a young mom. I don't 1 year old.
How was it then finding a hospital and connecting with the gynec there for, of course, the start with and
That was actually yes.
the regular test and
That was okay actually, because the health system in the US is, uh, we could say a lot of bad things about it, but um, if you pay the money, you will find good care, right? Okay. And so that's what happened to me. We found a good hospital. I don't know. My husband asked some people at work, where should we go? Because my wife is pregnant and she needs to follow up with. So, well, I wanted midwife, so we found the hospital with the midwives, and then it just worked out. It was easy. That honestly was the easy.
how long did it take for you to settle down there with all the culture shocks?
Honestly, it was hard. It was really hard because it took us like more than 3 or 4 months to find a home. Like we lived in one apartment. Okay. Rent was really high, so we couldn't stay there. We had to move to another yes. Place, another society with another apartment. But our goal was to buy a home because with all the calculation we had made, taking a rent, like a loan, was cheaper than renting a house, over the course of 5 years. But the market at the time was really, really bad. There was no home on the market. And so it took us a while. And then one day there was that one house that we liked. And Luke was like, okay, we have to go see that. And I was, which is my husband. And I told him, we can't go. We need an agent to go there. Someone has to come with us. A broker. You can't, in the US, they are very particular about that. You don't show up, anyway.
You cannot show up on an house. You have to go through a broker,
Exactly.
a middle person.
Yeah, I mean anywhere, but in the US particularly, people are very conscious about their what's the word? The private privacy, and yeah. And Luke was like, Alizée, we have to go there because this is the one house that's left that we need a house. That the sense of urgency was growing, and we have to go and say hi.
Okay.
And so we did. We went.
You got it.
Yes, I went with my baby, and Luke, and it was a Christian family who was living there, and she had prayed that another family would come and
With a baby
to buy the house. She had prayed for another family to take over her house.
Okay.
And so when we rang the door with my baby, my husband next to me, she was like, okay, this is God's work. So we got the house. That's how it happened.
The culture shock, so once you're settling there, and you have to move, and to culture shock, of India, being in India, a different culture?
It wasn't so bad.
Okay.
It wasn't so bad.
Not a shock, but okay, shockingly positive, maybe a pleasant surprise, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I lived in the US was the hardest uh, cultural shock I could have had, not speaking the language, being a young mom. Uh, once you've lived that, you know what to expect, you know how you're going to react to things. So I wasn't really worried about coming here, and maybe I was a little bit because we hear all these things about India.
Yes,
it's busy, it's dirty, and actually, honestly, when I got out of the plane and we took the highway for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Where are we? But you can't stay on that because my whole Indian experience is so amazing. It's so incredible that you have to be honest about the place. You can't, and there is good and bad everywhere. Like I could tell you, but I could tell you things I liked in Houston, things I really disliked there, right? So there's no place that is perfect. But coming here in terms of cultural shock, I think it took me maybe a year to feel in my comfort zone.
A year.
A year. To feel in my comfort zone. Like to
So that was longer than
to feel
in
like
US. Was it probably because of the language? You think that okay, our language was really a difficult one to probably understand and had many languages right in the city itself.
I think the challenges were really different. In the US, I had to learn a whole new language, and I had to. Everything was new as well, right? So I can't really tell you how long it took me in the US. It was maybe over three years that I felt
Not in your comfort zone, probably.
uh, the thing is India, it kind of jumps at you, like it does. And I'm coming from a place where everything is organized and clean and people follow rules. It's like the complete opposite, right? So I think that for me to get used to those things it took me a while. But once it was, then I never looked back, think about it anymore. Like it's not.
It's part of you now, right? I mean, that's part of your life now.
That's part of my environment, and my environment is so good. I was so spoiled in India. Our lifestyle here is so amazing.
Can we say then that is still part of the culture, or is it still, or is it part of the expat life in India? Uh, because the culture from the US of like driving yourself, uh, the language part is organized, structured, and here it is not. But the culture is such that, as you said, it jumps on you. A lot of things are happening.
What jumps on you is what is mainly really different with my place. But I don't want to say it's because of the culture, because I feel it would be it would undermine India. I think we could speak about that for hours. There are things to do in India. Politics have to be involved, and they have to clean up the streets, make better roads. It's not what I want to remember from India. It's not. That's not my main takeaway. Because we are so spoiled here. I have help at home. I have a driver. If I'm cooking at night and I'm missing an ingredient, I go and big basket, and 5 minutes later, it's at my door, the apps. And everything is so convenient. And you can find many things that are shown on TV about India. People will show the worst because it's what
sense.
Yeah, it's
That's
what
what sense.
most people want to see, but it's not the truth. Like there is a middle class that's India is growing. India is like the opportunities, the beauty,
It's opportunity.
yeah.
But I think it's also that my main aim of the podcast is as well to have experts come and talk about it, right? Because many a times what we hear is different. We hear from companies that okay, you have to move to India. The first thing every family is going to be like, oh my god, are you sure? Do they have this? Do they have that brand? Or that facility? And it's good that you speak about India, that we have the convenience. Not many people know about that. We have the convenience of. I just want to add on that part
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the apps, right? So there was I had a party place, and that a friend of mine forgot her jacket. And I was quite new coming from Belgium to India, just out of COVID time. So, okay, you meet people and socialize them. She forgot her jacket at my place. And she said, Sabia, can you please Dunzo it? I said, what do you mean by that? What is Dunzo? Like, yeah, I'm going to Dunzo it. I said, well, what is it? Dunzo. The guy comes and picks it up. No, I get to my driver. Wait, no problem. No, that's all right. No need. Dunzo. And then I looked at it, okay, well, what is this? So a guy who picks up your stuff from any corner of the city and will drop you any corner of the city that you want. Yeah. I don't know how many countries have it. Probably they have it, but I'm not too sure. But this India has.
We don't have your friends.
Yeah, no.
We don't
Belgium
have
as well. No, again, I mean, you forgot, you forgot.
Yeah.
Next day.
No, we don't have this kind of convenience in France at all.
And this kind of lifestyle in India as expat is
Yeah.
not much seen.
No, because it's actually quite safe to come here in expat. Life is good. Like, our kids are going to amazing schools. We live in beautiful apartments. We are spoiled. We are truly, we can only be grateful for what we have because the weather is amazing. We go, all winter we go. We can't complain. We can go at the Ritz and have brunch, and it costs as much money as going at the restaurant in France. So this should be well known. People should know that.
I agree, actually. With this as well, there's some kind of an identity crisis. Do you think so? We deal with an identity crisis that we are, like, let's say you are French.
Mhm.
So your identity as French is like A, right? And you come as an expat to India.
Yeah.
And then you deal with, I'm an expat. So from just being a French, you're now as an expat. And that changes your identity. And when you go back home, I've asked this on other guests as well on my episode, right? That the podcast, how is it going back home? Do you think of yourself? You must be busy with the friends and family, and you forget that you're an expat. And one of the guests said, like, no, I don't. In fact, the other way around, I cannot forget anymore. I'm an expert. That's an identity crisis, right?
It is. This is the hard part because then you don't know where you stand in the world. Like where is home for you? It's hard because you have moved out of your own country and you've lived so much experiences that are different from what the usual, like the people who have a more sedentary life. The experience is so far apart. And when you go home, it's how to catch your breath. It's how to readapt. It's sometimes like really shocking because even for me, when I'm from, I feel like I go back to a very small village mentality.
Okay, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I left my hometown at the beginning is because there wasn't enough for me there. I wanted more. So going back, I mean, of course we need family. My kids need to go and see their grandparents, and we love being with family. But a lot of times it is very unsettling, and sometimes it's a bit disappointing, and you have to learn how to, deal with.
Navigate yourself, adapt to.
Yeah.
So for me, it takes few days to adapt. Like what is it? And I'm sure for you as well.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm back home. Yeah, the routine. I have to clean myself, let's say, or I have to make my bed, or I don't know, I'll cook,
Yeah.
right? Go to groceries, and there is no app.
Yeah.
It takes a few days to adapt that. And for me, coming back as well, it takes a bit of time to adapt. It's a weird thing. So it is an identity crisis. You're not completely in your home country. You are as an expat, but when you come back to expat, then you don't also forget that my identity is not just here being local, have another home as well. So yeah, it's just a confusing thing.
It takes well, it's because those two lives are so different.
Yeah.
The way of life in Europe, where I'm from, uh, we need a car to do everything.
Yeah.
You don't have a cook. You don't have someone to clean your house. You don't have a driver, so you're doing everything yourself. And here, there is the driver, there is the cook, there is someone to clean the house, which is amazing. And so when you go back to your home country and you think you're going on a vacation, you're
But it's not.
it's
It's not vacation.
it's not, and it's hard to explain people that for you, you are doing more than you usually do because you're stuck in that rhythm, and you appear like a spoiled little brat, and which I understand as well, that why someone would feel like that. Yeah, it just, and mentalities are different, ideas are different. We are around an international community all the time. For us, it doesn't matter where you are from, what is the color of your skin,
language you speak, how is your accent when you speak English, whether people understand or not. But guess what? Expats do really make an effort to understand. If you don't, you have an accent or I don't know, a mother tongue.
and they like it.
Yeah, they like it. I like it. That's
They're
curious, yeah.
And they're not afraid to come and ask you questions, and to ask you, what do you cook, like what do you eat in your culture, and people are very open. And we help each other because somehow we become family because we are so far from home.
Does it happen with you that when you're in a crowd, let's say in France, and all of a sudden you hear in English, like, oh, somebody spoke English, I heard that.
Yeah.
For me, it happened, right? So, because that's not the language that you're used to but you're in France. When you're back here in India, I'm sure you hear all the languages and accents, and you're absolutely okay with that. When you're back home, then you feel okay. I will only hear French now on the TV, on the radio. Here. And then when you hear somebody speaking English in the phone, I heard English. For me, it happened.
I love it. I mean, well, my kids were born in the US, so English is part of our lives. Like we speak English all the time, but when we are on the street or walking around the city and someone speaks English, we're so happy. Like it's like, oh, can we talk? Can we speak? Yeah, makes us really happy. It feels like home, to speak English. Yes.
Things very different. That's the identity crisis that is, I think, felt throughout the expat community. And I feel like the crisis of registration is something different than identity crisis. I can't say crisis. It's a struggle. Registration process is a struggle. So the registration process.
When you arrive in a country,
So any country, so when you went to US and in India, that's another challenge, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not too sure dealing with that part. You're still happy to be as an expat, or you feel like, oh my god, it would be nice just to be home and not be an expat because
it is one of the challenging parts for sure. Like you can't. I feel like we were quite blessed because the company took care of a lot of things for us, and compared to a lot of other companies or friends that we know here, for us this was quite easy, but because they help a lot. But what was harder was, for example, to have a bank.
That wasn't. Do you have a
Oh my gosh.
story around that? Sure.
Well, the story is that it took 3 months. Like, it's a long time without a card, and you have to. I don't know how we managed. We had to withdraw cash, some money from the US, to friends. I mean, it was honestly, it was a mess. There has to be other ways that don't exist yet. And I have friends who just arrived here, and it's the same for them.
Yeah.
The bank process is so um, I don't know,
It's complex.
tedious.
Is it?
Tedious. I don't know. I don't know how to say. It's just so complicated, and so badly thought. Like, when processes are involved in a bank, you have to fill papers, then the papers are sent to this person who is maybe working 2 days in the week, and then someone has to give an agreement, and then the papers are coming back, and like, but it's like,
And it's a simple process of you need a bank account, and you want a bank account, and the bank wants money. So I don't know what is the problem.
yeah,
They didn't make it overcomplicated.
the process.
Was it the same in the US as well?
In the US, sure.
Like bank account,
Yeah.
a SIM
The
card, or
company had its
Wi-Fi.
own bank actually, so it was easier. They made us a bank account. They had a branch who was a bank.
They had a branch.
Yeah, a branch of the company, and it was a bank. So they had their own bank, and they.
And that exists in India as well?
No, it was in the US.
No.
Yeah, it's a big company.
So that was easy then for you.
It was to set up, yes. After we had to take a loan, and that was really because we had no credit records in the US. So they had to somehow trust us. We had to show proof, that we had money that look. I mean, and he was literally working for the company who owned the bank. So you would think it would have been easy, but no, we had it. It was another process. It took a while, but really, it worked in the end. Just have to be really patient, just one thing after another, and one problem after another.
Step by step.
Yeah.
Do you have a joint account or a separate account? Because what I understand from many expats, they cannot have a joint account here.
Well, I don't know how it happened, but I do have an account in name.
A joint one along with your husband? Or a separate?
It's in my name. I think it's a joint one. Probably, because I don't think I could have a separate. For me, it's not
Really strict,
it's not a
strict laws for expat wives, the dependent ones. They only get an add-on card, but not a joint account. That's a problem. The many expat wives who, I think, till date, I know somebody who will do the transaction and will wait for the PIN. Yeah, so the husband has to approve that, and then she can leave the place after the payment.
you lose your freedom. It's not easy. It's not always easy to be an expat wife.
So while one side we have all the apps and the comfort and the convenience, this section is where I feel we can do much better. It doesn't need to be that hard. I'm not too sure why they make it so stringent that only the men can get the card and the wives, since they're not working and they're dependent, that they can only get add on a card and make their life quite difficult. Daily life like this difficult.
Even the men's world, I mean, this is no news, right? If we don't push them to fight for us, nothing's gonna happen. And it's the same with all the companies. I can't work here, you know? In 5 years, I'm not allowed to work, and that's something. It's part of my freedom that I have given it, right? And I'm dependent on my husband's work and his money. I'm not saving money for my retirement.
It's a big loss, right? If you think of it, you can't work. Your kids are grown up now.
It's a bet.
You haven't maybe you have developed a skill to get back to a job or career, but then
The consulates or the person who are making the business are not helping. And there are stupid rules, in my opinion. That's just for myself that won't allow women to accompany and be to have a journey of their own. Because once the kids are grown, we could work. We could.
And I think that adds to the well-being of the person, and also what I feel. Yeah, but also like it also adds to the success of the expat assignment. Like you are here on assignment, and a successful assignment means that each member of the family is happy.
Yeah.
Their well-being is considered. While the kids have their friends in the school, a good education system. Husband has his own social life, at work, a good connection at work. We have our connections as well, but sometimes that's not enough. I feel like that doesn't fulfill us, and that is as well our identity besides our nationality. That needs to be nurtured, but somehow it's kind of unfulfilled, and we still call it as a successful expat assignment. Although the wife is not working, she has not. She had quit her career, compromised, but still that is seen as success. So I wish that can be changed. And
Yeah.
now that you mentioned about consulate,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about the consulate engagement for expats? Like when you come in here, you register in India. Okay. In India, you have to register in foreign registration office, and they know that okay, you arrived. But how about the consulate? Are they aware that there is a French national in this city or in this country as expats? Do they organize some events for expats?
Can't. We had to go there, for papers, for ID cards, for passports. So I don't even remember if I had to register when we think about doing anything. I don't feel the French consulate is very alive or having a lot of events for us expats. Like I've never heard about.
Did you ever meet them?
I went there for paperwork, but that's it. There is no.
Paperwork in the center for.
I did.
You start. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't meet.
passports. But I don't. Not that. I don't know if the consulate really have a life.
Do you think they should kind of involve expats? Do
Yeah,
you think that will help you when you are
well,
an expat?
in Pune, it's we are a bit far. I wouldn't drive 4 hours to Mumbai
You wouldn't.
to go to a party. I can have a party.
That's true. That's true.
But that's me. But if you live in Mumbai and you're close to the consulate, I'm sure there are many people who would, benefit from it, from some kind of community and events and bringing people together for sure. I mean, it's never a loss then to organize things for people, especially when they are not in their own country. If you can provide some kind of help, answer some questions, lower anxiety, when you're not.
Lowering the anxiety, as you said, because it's a new culture, right?
Yeah.
While you're adjusting and you may have the relocation guys as well who help you. But I feel sometimes that the opportunity to speak in your language, the one who really understands where you come from.
Yeah.
I think it adds.
Feels good.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah. Sure. I think Belgium does it, but I think France as well. The consulate in Mumbai, they do organize something.
Yeah.
In Delhi, they do it, but yeah, it's a pity. I don't know how they manage to bring all the French nationals in one place. Sometimes maybe once a year event, maybe that they can do. Have you ever had a chance to participate in voting while you're away from France? Like recently, you had a voting.
You are catching me on my low. I don't vote.
Okay.
I'm really fast.
Okay, that is
Yeah,
well, that was a recently
yeah.
the world from
I've given up on politics, and
Uh-huh.
you know, I don't think it's gonna change much of my life, and I am really not being a responsible citizen because I should vote. But yeah, we don't, we don't. That's not what. Go vote. Don't elect me.